Everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So as a reminder, we will be recording this session. You will receive a link to the recording. I said tomorrow, but it probably will be later this afternoon. And we will also be publishing the link on our TSU Continuity of Learning webpage. If everyone else could just mute your mics for now, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. So we have a number of people that are going to be joining us in doing the presentation. We have Dr. Deborah Bellamy, who is our instructional designer and everything online training extraordinaire. I mean, she's awesome. I know a lot of you all have been in her classes. We have Dr. Robin Blackman, who is the executive director of our HBCU C2 initiative, and has been doing a great deal of training as it relates to the Apple coding project. Mr. Carl Hunter is one of our training coordinators, is our training coordinator here within our office. And he does a lot of the training on Zoom, Microsoft Office, and all that good stuff. So hopefully you know Carl. Denise Malloy, she is also an executive director of the HBCU C2 project. And this is, all of us are a part of the Smart Technology Innovation Center. And so say hey, Denise, welcome. And then, of course, not of course, like y'all don't, I mean, I didn't mean that. But anyway, my name is Cheryl C.A., and I am the Executive Director of TSU Global Online. And then we have Mr. Kenneth Sessions. He's also here with us. He's here in his role as technical support for the HBCU C2 project, and to also help us in facilitating the support for you guys as we possibly go to remote teaching. So do me a favor, first take a minute to introduce yourself. So if you could go into the chat and please share your name and email address. And then if you could just share one thing that you hope to learn today about using Zoom to support your remote teaching, we would greatly appreciate that. So I'll give you all just a minute to do that. You can put in your TN State email address or even your personal email address, whatever makes you comfortable. But we'd love for you to introduce yourself. This is also something, a tip or best practice that you might want to do as well in your classroom. I forgot to say it, but 2 slides back when I showed you the slide about this session will be recording, the slide has is kind of got a twofold purpose. One is to let the participants know that they're going to be recorded, so you're disclosing that, but it's also to remind you as the presenter to hit the record button so you don't forget to do that. So thank you all for sharing, those that are sharing your information. So welcome again. So our agenda today, we are going to first cover the features that are within Zoom that we hope will help you to facilitate your remote teaching environment. And Robin and Denise are going to do that part of the presentation. And then Deborah, Dr. Bellamy is going to review some best practices as it relates to using Zoom. And then Carl will review how we actually have Zoom integrated in eLearn, and how that's going to be our preferred way that we would like for you all to access Zoom is through the Meet Zoom platform. So he will be reviewing that with you. And then Ken will then cover next steps and kick us off into our question and answer period. So without further, well, let me make sure. Yeah. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Robin and Denise to review with you the Zoom features. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Robin. I am going to share my screen here and get started with our presentation. Denise will pick up about midway through, and so I'll let her introduce herself then. Okay, ready to get started here. We're going to, I'm sorry, share with you some of the features in Zoom for the host and co-host. Basically, we want you to get familiar with the controls that you will have as the host for your course. This here, the little menu bar here, you will become very familiar with that, and you will see that at the bottom of your screen. As a instructor for the course or host for the course, you will have access to all of these different options. We're going to watch a little short video about a minute long, and then we'll get into the different options.
Once in the Zoom meeting, there are a range of controls that can be used. Simply select the microphone icon in the bottom left-hand corner of the Zoom meeting window to mute and unmute yourself. The same can be done with video by selecting the video camera icon. You can select Invite to invite others to the Zoom meeting through email. You can see other participants by selecting the Participants icon. You can share content by selecting Share Screen, and you can chat with others by selecting Chat. You can also start recording by selecting the Record button. If you are the host of the Zoom meeting, you will have additional controls under Participants. By selecting More, you can allow a user to record, rename them, or even remove them from the Zoom meeting. You will also be able to mute and unmute all participants within the Zoom meeting.
Okay, now we're going to go a little deeper into some of those options. Okay, now looking at the first option, which is the mute option here. One of the things I want to point out to you is that this is where if you're having difficulty connecting, or a student is having difficulty connecting, they can switch to the phone audio. So that option is there for them to click on and switch over. From time to time when you log in using the link, sometimes your video may not work, or oftentimes they're getting feedback, they're not able to get rid of the feedback. Then sometimes we'll tell them they may want to switch to the phone audio. There's also options here for your audio settings, also a place where you can actually go in and check your speakers, test out your speakers, test out your microphone. You'll want to do that when you first log on. Make sure you always log on at least, 10, 15 minutes before your students are going to enter the class, so you can test out all of your audio. The next thing is the Start Video button. This is the button that allows you to turn your video on and off. This is also a button that will allow you to create a virtual background. I'm trying to see if anyone has a virtual background on today. It looks like possibly, I'm not sure if Carl has a virtual background on today or not. Oh, that may be his background. But you can go in and turn on an actual virtual background behind you. So let's say there was something behind you you did not want the participants to see. You could put a virtual background, and you can pick from your pictures, or you can pick one of the defaults that's there. So you would have a background actually behind you, and I'll probably do that once I stop sharing, so you can see what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to ask my team to make sure they're checking the chat room, because I see some look like comments coming in. Okay. There's something I need to answer now, Denise or Kenny. I don't want to move forward if there's a question regarding this. Okay.
No, you're good. You're
okay,
good.
I'll keep going. Okay, so the next two I want to talk about is the invite option and then the managed participants. And the invite, and they went through this in the video. This is where you can invite someone through email, invite them in the room. You can use one of the email services here that's available. You can also copy the URL for the Zoom link and actually send it to them. So this is where you can do it if you're already in the session. Let's say somebody texts you or emails you and says, hey, I didn't get the link. You can do this from within the Zoom session. The next one I want to talk about is managed participants, and they went over this one quite a bit and showed you how you can go in, and there's an option here. When you click on it, you're able to actually remove a person, a participant. Let's say you have a participant in there and they are, I'm going to say, being unruly maybe. You could go in and actually remove that person. You can go in, you can turn their mic off, you can turn their video off. This is also where you will see when students raise their hands. You will see when, let's say you ask them a question and you want them to respond, they can respond yes or no. If you're going extremely fast, you may have a student to click the button that says go slower, okay? And you will see it. So typically I keep my managed participants open. It's almost like a toggle. When you click on it, it'll be open on the right-hand side of your window. But I usually keep it open so I can actually see what's going on with my participants. Okay, next slide I'll go to. Denise is going to cover the next few slides.
Okay, you are able to create polls to ask questions. There is a question there, I can't really read it. Are you ready to teach your course remotely in case of an emergency? We can ask you that question and have you answer that and submit it. At the bottom, there's a bar for you to submit. Let's see if we can get some people to answer that question. Okay, looks like, oh, you have more going. Okay, so it looks like 18 says yes, 4 say no. Okay, and it's still going. 1 says yes, 4 says no.
Okay.
Okay, 5.
I'm about to shut it down. Okay. Thank you all.
Okay. All
Let
right.
me share the results real quick. So those are the results.
Okay.
You guys look like you might be ready, except for a few folk. We're gonna get you there.
Let's see.
Okay.
They are now able to see the poll, looks like. Okay.
Okay, Denise, we're done. You can go ahead.
Okay, I need for someone to stop sharing the poll.
I did. I thought I did.
At the top, X out.
Okay. Did I do it?
No. Top left. Double circle. Or stop sharing.
Hey, Denise, on their end, they're not seeing it anymore. I'm in as a participant, so they're not seeing it anymore.
Okay, let me move it then. All right, so you also have the option to share your screen. Sometimes it is the case that, like we're sharing our screens, and we want feedback from what we're sharing. So when you click on the green box for share, it will show on your desktop all of the windows that you have currently available or open, and you would click on the window that you would want to show. It will be highlighted in blue, and you would click on it in order to select it, and it will expand into a larger screen for everyone. Okay, can you advance? Okay. You also have the option of chatting. We're using a chat room, as you have already started. Sometimes it is the case you want to chat privately with an individual, and you just select at the bottom left portion of the chat who you want to chat to, everyone or a particular person or persons. To the right, there is a file. You can upload a file so that people can see it in the chat. And those three dots, can you click on those three dots? In file, in the chat, there you go. Oh, nope, I guess you can't. The three dots will, yeah, that one right there. Can you click on that? Okay, all right, sorry. You have options there to use for chat. Recording, the round record button, once that's clicked, and it's usually the host that has that option and not the attendees. When that is clicked, then you will see a rectangular bar that will allow for you to stop recording or pause your recording in any of your Zoom meetings. It will also let you know that you are recording, and it will give you a Zoom meeting ID as well. So if someone emails you or texts you and says, what's the Zoom meeting ID, you can always have that available for them right at your fingertips or within eyesight. And it's always a good idea to record so that you can have a record of the course or the class, and whenever someone has missed it, you can send them the link for them to see it. Breakout rooms are rooms where you can separate people into groups so that they can work together. You can do that by automatically allowing for any number of rooms from 1 to, I don't know, several of them. You probably don't want to go more than 4 rooms so that you can contain the participants and have smaller groups. So you could do this manually. You can click on manual and then select the number of rooms you want to create. And you can also assign who goes into what room. So you have the option of, when you click on assign, you have the option of assigning people to those groups. Always remember this, that when you end a meeting, if you just leave the meeting, then your recording is probably not going to be saved. So you want to end the meeting for all in order to save your recording, and you can have it to go back to later. Also know that if you end the meeting, exit from your browser or from the app itself, because you may still be you may still be live, so to speak. You could hear somebody or they could hear you. Sometimes the app does not close all the way, so you have to safeguard yourself to make sure it's all the way closed. And I'm going to toss the ball back to Robin, who's going to tell you about the Zoom link for the host and co-host controls, in case you forget what to do.
Okay. This is the video, the little short video. This is a link to the video. So you can click on that and review the video again. I'm going to click on this here. This is actually, make sure we're seeing here. Let's see if you're actually seeing my page. Hold on a second. Let me see. Try it again and see if it's going to show you my page. Okay. Hold on 1 second. And let me stop and let me share again here. Just 1 second. Okay. Let's minimize that. Okay, now here, this is the actual Zoom Help Center. And this is where we've taken a lot of this information from. That actual video is here. We will provide that link to you. We will put it in the chat so you can go and copy it and save it. But this has all the information regarding setting up your Zoom session, inviting others, managing the participants, and there's links to everything for your poll. It shows you how to go out and create a poll. It shows you how to go in and record. So if you happen to forget something that we're covering today, just go to this link and you'll find pretty much everything you want to know about hosting and co-hosting a meeting. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and I am going to turn it over to, I think it's Deborah Bellamy, Dr. Bellamy.
Hello, everyone. Since you've gone over the features, so now I'm going to tell you about some best practices when using Zoom. Hold on just a moment. I'm going to share my screen. First, let's talk about preparing for your session. The first thing you want to do, especially if we have to shut down for remote learning online, when you hold your Zoom sessions, make sure those sessions are the same time that your course would typically meet on ground, just to not have interference with other courses who may be wanting to use the Zoom sessions with their particular courses on ground. Make sure you set up your equipment, have materials ready, such as if you're going to use a poll, remember that the polls have to be created actually before the Zoom session began. You will not be able to create a poll while you're within the Zoom session. Have your screens ready that you're going to share with the students. Test your audio and your video equipment. You're going to select a location that's quiet with a neutral background. And if you don't have a neutral background or you have something in your background you don't want students to see, you can select a virtual background from within Zoom. You're going to participate productively. You're going to use an opening slide, sort of like the one we had here, where you welcome students. And I would suggest you use the one that had the recording on the front so the students will know they're being recorded. So if they're not dressed appropriately, they can put on the appropriate attire for the course. Have students to greet each other in the chat feature when they arrive. Then when students arrive, you greet them within the chat feature. When you begin, you're going to set guidelines. You're going to ask them to mute their mics. You're going to talk about some of the features. If they have a question, they need to raise their hands, or they can actually ask a question in the chat. Don't forget to remind students that they're being recorded. You're going to make eye contact. And you know, that's the thing that's kind of difficult for me. Yesterday, I was on a computer that was on the desktop, and it was because the camera was high, I was looking up and not looking directly at the students. So that's a little bit of something you may need to practice on, is making that eye contact. You're going to avoid lecturing for hours. You're going to use frequent and varied instructional methods. So you're going to ask students a question in the chat feature. You may use the poll. You may decide you want to use the group feature and set them in the individual classrooms, But make sure when you put them in the classroom that you set a timer, especially if you want students to come back and share what they discussed while they were actually in the breakout rooms. In the session, allow time at the end of class for students to ask questions. Remember to check the chat feature, because sometimes students may not want to ask a question verbally within the class itself. So they may just type something in the chat feature. So make sure you review your chat feature before you end your class. You may also want to have a student to monitor the chat while you're within the session, because it's kind of difficult for you to actually monitor the chat and also give the lecture at the same time. You may want to set reminders for the students. Remind them of the next class meeting, remind them of their homework, or how to put something in the Dropbox. And that is the end for ending the session. I'm going to toss it over to Kenny now.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. It is 12:01. My name is Kenny Sessions, and to follow up, and I think Cheryl's going to pull up my next slides. What the SMART team wants you to know is we're here for you. The next steps will be, we will continue to have subsequent training sessions. We will be available Thursday, March 11th, 2020, and through Thursday, through March 14th, which is Saturday, to allow you to practice and come back with additional questions. We're going to provide you links that you can go through to go to the Next Step Learning website. But what we want you to know is you need to practice. We recommend that you get with one of your coworkers, your friends, practice this going back and forth. So as you attend the follow-up sessions, you can bring to us additional questions. After this session, as you can see there, these are the dates I just mentioned. We will follow up, and we as the SMART team will go through the participant chat questions to ensure that we answer every question that you have. We will follow up with you, but also have those answers available for the next meetings that we have. So if there's any questions, and here's the contact information for the SMART team. And we ask that you put in the subject line, when you're sending us offline questions, Zoom support, so that we will know exactly what those emails are. We take priority in answering those first and give you proper feedback in a timely manner. So we thank you all for being on the call today, letting you know that the TSU best practices for remote teaching using Zoom, the question answer sessions, we're going to open that up for you guys. You can either get on with your voice and or send additional questions to chat. And we thank you. Any questions out there?
I'm sorry. So yes, so just be sure to unmute your mic if you do have a question. This is a live session, but we want to experience it maybe like your own students would be experiencing it. So please, let's see, John has a question I'm seeing here. He's asking, when students are divided into groups in classrooms, do they have a special sub chat for that specific classroom? Yes. They're actually going to go into their own full Zoom room at that point. And the cool thing is, too, John, is that you then can jump around into those classes to help facilitate whatever they're doing at that particular time. Does that answer your question? I guess that's that. Okay. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Anyone else have a question? Don't be shy. Someone did ask a question earlier, and I hope they don't get mad at me about it. But they ask if what if I don't like seeing myself on the video? Can they still teach effectively using Zoom if they're not seen? And I didn't really think that was a crazy question at all, because you have to do what you're comfortable with at this point, especially in this kind of situation. If we're doing this, we're going to be in an emergency situation. So we need you all to feel comfortable. And so if you don't want to share your video, then don't share your video. Or you may want to only activate it when you're actually having a discussion with the students. And yeah. And there was one other question that they asked. They wanted to know too how students are going to be prepared for remote teaching, and if the faculty member is responsible for training the students, or will we help? We are going to, hopefully guys, and we'll need your feedback on this, but we will be providing you resources that you can share with your students. And they've indicated that they're supposed, if we go into this mode, then they will kind of beef up the daytime help desk so they can help triage issues. And then we will also kind of provide scripting for the help desk when it goes to the rolls over to the Lucy and folk. So I thought those were great questions to share.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have two more questions. I have two more questions in the chat, and then Dr. Kilt, I'll come to you.
Sure.
But can you choose breakout room members prior to class time? Yes, you can set up your groups prior to. Do students in a course have to be invited to attend a Zoom session? No. Well, the reason we would like for you to, as much as possible, use the Meets Zoom platform. We really think that's a better way to help you facilitate your class sessions. So when you do set those up, then if you're using Meets platform, then the student will go in through eLearn and just click on the link to get started. So no, they do not have to be invited. I guess that was a long way to answer that question. And then they would also have the recordings. Again, the Meets Zoom platform will organize all of your sessions for that particular class. So if you're teaching 5 classes, it's an easy way to kind of help you keep all of your class sessions organized. The one thing I will say about the attendance tracker in Meet Zoom, it's also tracking when they leave, right? Because remember, y'all are concerned about, you may have a concern about, are they really here and engaged? You're going to be doing polls and stuff to check on that. But then that attendance record is going to give you some really kind of cool information. You'll be like, yeah, anyway. All right, Dr. Kill, go ahead with your question.
Oh, yes. First, thank you so much for having this session for us. This may be a little off the topic, though. Is it possible we can use the smart classrooms available in some of the buildings or have a Zoom?
Well, and that's a very good question, because I know several of you in your in the survey. I mean, you all teach a lot of different classes that, you have special equipment in those rooms, or there's software in there that you need to use in order to demonstrate various things, or there's equipment or instruments or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
I would test it out. I mean, if you have a special classroom that you know about,
No, it's
as long as it has I'm so sorry.
Sorry, my case is I just want to use a smart board. It'll be learning.
The issue becomes, can we talk about what you're using the smart board for? Because it may very well be that we can emulate that within Zoom if we're using the right feature. There's some features we might be able to share with you that will allow you to do what you need to do.
Yeah, if I have some way to project what I'm writing, that should be good enough, I think.
There's a whiteboard feature in Zoom. We can talk. I'm gonna get that straight for you. Okay. I mean, so I have a really good answer for that, because I'm sure other people are gonna have a similar. Okay. Thank you, sir. Yes, John asked the question, and that's the question I want to, John, you asked the question that Dr. Kill is kind of getting to about a digital whiteboard. There is a digital whiteboard in Zoom, but I want to give you all the best practice for how to use that and what you will need in order to do that effectively, if that's okay. And so we'll put that out there on the website specifically about using the digital whiteboard. Is that cool?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, because I saved my whatever I write in the board, the smart board. I save it and post it so the student can access it. That's what I do. Yeah.
Okay, and I think we can do that, because if you're going to record, if you're recording, sir, then it's going to capture everything that's on the whiteboard within the recording. So then they would also be able to access it that way. Okay. Do we have any other questions?
Dr. C, I also use the iPad. This is Pocorel from Agriculture Science.
Thank you.
I co-host myself with the iPad and then the computer. I write in the iPad. People can see as a whiteboard. At the end of the day class, I make a PDF and email to them as well. I mean, that's what I used in the past.
Thank you.
Effective.
Well, I appreciate that, and then Dr. I appreciate your comment. But remember now, if you use Zoom through eLearn, it's going to capture your recording, and you won't have to worry about emailing it to the students later. That's why we're recommending that you use the Meets platform, so that you don't have time for that now. Y'all got other stuff to do. So yeah, you don't want to have to email them later. But thank you for that. If you have a tablet or iPad, because remember, you're sharing the screen, and you can do that from your iPad or smartphone or whatever, then if you're writing on your tablet, that is going to be captured. Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Guys, do you all have any other comments? We're well ahead of time.
And for all the participants, give us a little feedback on how we presented this today, so we can continue to work on the best practices to present what you need.
And Ken, thanks for saying that, because when I send out the link to the recording, we'll be sending you a link to an evaluation. So we would greatly appreciate you giving us some feedback on any of the stuff we're doing. So I want to call y'all's names. We have another question in the chat room, and I'm thinking, oh, do y'all mind if I say who's asking the question? But anyway, I just won't do it. Okay, today. Someone is asking, do we need to be concerned about the storage space for recording videos? Not right now. I think we're okay. But we'll be monitoring it. I will get an email from Zoom if we are reaching capacity or something, and then we'll deal with it at that point. But I think we're okay. Does that answer your question? Okay. And you guys, I apologize. I'm in someone else's office, so the phone was ringing, and I didn't know what to do about that. So just know that when you are in these sessions, just be yourself. Things are going to happen, and it's okay. It really is okay. Just kind of be okay. And that's why we would like for you to practice and kind of be familiar, but it's going to be okay. Yeah, go ahead, Carl.
Speaking about the invites, the way I showed you the invite, that invite was for people outside of the class. Like you said, students don't have to be invited. They're automatically a part of the class session. So that invite was the way you may want to invite other professors from other universities or other people with, you may have presentations. That's what that type of invite was for.
Yeah, so it'll support, that invite is like he's saying, if you have a guest speaker that you had scheduled, then they can still join your session and still present to your students as planned.
Cheryl,
yes.
This is Denise. Wanted to remind everyone that probably this is obvious, but not all the time obvious to everyone. Remind the participants that if they have their camera on, people can see everything they do. If they have their mic on, we can hear everything they say or someone who's walking by says. If you've ever seen the news where the news reporter is trying to do a news report and somebody's behind them doing something weird, that can and sometimes will happen in a meeting. So maybe you might want to remind them of Zoom etiquette or create a list of things you might want them to not do or to be cognizant of, especially if they're out in public somewhere.
And along those lines, Denise, too, guys, you might want to set the rules with your, or remind your students, I mean, they need to dress as if they're coming to class, right? So no pajamas, no lounge wear. I mean, they need to dress as if they're coming out. They need to dress appropriately, right? And that they may need to be reminded of that. Don't assume that they know how to come to class for this kind of situation, because they'll forget that they're on camera. Someone asked if we, okay, I have two questions. I have one, someone asked, can you demonstrate the virtual background? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on there's a down arrow next to my video where the stop, remember the stop start video? And I'm gonna click on that arrow and it says choose virtual background. And so guys, I'm going to San Francisco. Now look what it does to my hair. But anyway, I don't like that one. I hate that one. I'm gonna go out of space for this. I hate this one too. But anyway, you can upload an image, one that you think. Carl just switched his over to he looks like he's ant size in the grass with the grass stalks. And so yes, you can change your background. It's pretty easy, or not have one at all, so that you're there. I hope that answered your question. Someone said, ask the question, I saw that Zoom is already integrated into eLearn, but the students will need to download the app on to their phone also. Yes. Okay, since most students do not have a desktop anymore. So yes, when the way the eLearn integration works is once you click on that link, it's actually taking you out to Zoom, right? So if a student is accessing the Zoom session, on their phone, they would still log into eLearn, go to the virtual classroom, go to your session, click on that session, and yes, because they have downloaded the app previously to their phone, then when they click on that link, it's going to open up the app on their phone or iPad. So I hope that answers that question. Someone asked a question. Yes, you can upload. So if you do not, oh, this is a good one. I mean, because for the person who asked me, I don't want to be on video, you can upload just a static picture of yourself, right? So then that will be your video. You can upload it and just have an image show too. So thank you for that question. So do we have any other questions? Comments from our presenters?
Just to remind everyone that I have put the link in there again, and you can click on it and then save it. So you can just click on that link. I added it in there twice. So if you scroll up, you'll see it a second time, the link to the Zoom Help Center.
Yes. And again, we will, we're gonna post a lot of this information to the webpage so that other folks who weren't here today will have access to it as well. Give me a little time, because you know I think I'm gonna launch the webpage this afternoon, but we're working on that.
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
I just wanted to remind faculty to please, please, please use us as your resource. We're here and we're ready to assist you. No questions too small or too large, okay?
That's so true. Thank you, Deborah. Okay, guys, well, if there are no more questions, again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us. We will share this presentation as well. And so you'll have our contact information. And so again, we just thank you all for giving us this time out of your day. And hopefully we'll never have to activate this, right? But in the event that we do, we again just want to do our best to support you as you move forward. So thank you all, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. All righty. I'm clicking off the leave meeting. If all you want to, who gonna say hi, bye to us, say it now.
You're knocking us off. Does that mean you're knocking us off? I guess
Yeah,
so.
I'm knocking us off. Okay. Thank you all. I'm stopping the recording now too.
Thank you.
Thank you.